Hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the RetroBlasting Livestream. I have with me my friend and special guest, Chronically Online, who has been, you've kind of been blowing up with your videos lately. Between Star Wars Retro Collection, all the ins and outs of the alleyways and the dark paths through Dragon Ball Z merchandise. You've been getting some good traction, so congratulations.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I'm wondering at what point someone's going to come knocking on the door going, okay, here are your marching orders now.
Yeah, I've been getting the first of all, everybody, good evening, and thank you so much, Brian. He sent the Dillinghamism. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate that. Hope you guys are all doing well. I see Keith Knight, I see Mayumi, I see Embargo, I see too many people to list. Jesse's here, George Aiken, Matt Movies 611 is here, Scott Knudsen is here, Alan Dawson. It's like a whole, just Zontara's here. This is a who's who. Jason Anderson, Jeremy Kerr. Just everybody's here. There's too many people to list. Analog Toys. Hello.
What's up, Tony?
Yeah, yeah, KBA is here. So many people are here. Thanks for showing up, everybody. So before we get started, I just wanted to ask, like, with the content that you've been making about, how are you making the decision to, because I think for a lot of YouTube creators right now, I think we've all seen that the beginning of 2025 on YouTube, they really have reset the dip switches on the algorithm. And a lot of us are now starting from scratch again with our view counts and our momentum and everything like that. And you've really kind of tapped into something. Is it just blind luck, or do you have a strategy? You don't have to give up what your strategy is. I'm just asking you that one.
I can't really necessarily pinpoint one particular thing. I do think that the nice thing about a lot of Dragon Ball Z content is that there's not a lot of videos about it that sort of meet what I call the retro blasting standard of video toy production.
Everybody, I didn't know he was going to say that. Please keep going.
It's a bar that, came down from watching your videos for so many years. So it translating that into Dragon Ball Z, I think, is just kind of like, I won't say it's luck, but I feel like there was a market there that I didn't realize people were actually so interested in. Because it could have been, I put in all this effort and then these videos got 300 views. And for a long time, that's kind of how it was. Like, I have kind of just been hanging out in my own little corner. And it was only recently that one particular video just, it had honestly gained about 15,000 views on its own. And then all of a sudden, over the course of a couple weeks, it's now up to almost 70. And I don't know how that happened.
Wow. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. And one of the reasons that I had Chronically on tonight, everybody, was because he and I commiserate a lot on crazy comments. We commiserate on the weird things that, rando drive-bys will say in the YouTube comments section. And all of us here, all of you guys and gals in the comments and everybody who's been on YouTube, we all know that's nothing new. Like, YouTube is it can be a cesspit for crazy comments, off the wall takes, all that kind of stuff. And I know that, like, I don't know, I have to believe that in the more going into the anime side of pop culture, like with Shonen, with Dragon Ball Z, that's got to be a unique type of crazy in the comment section. Or am I wrong, Chronically, and it's the same kind of crazy, just OCD for a different topic?
I think generationally we're a little closer to that kind of like gamer chud,
right?
Where the comments are a little more given with the air of, let me bestow my angelic wisdom onto you.
Right.
And I just can't wait to roll my eyes at stuff like that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's not leave them in suspense anymore. Ra, good to see you, man. Thanks for being here, Ra. Let's just let me ask the audience. Do you want me to pull the comment up while I read it, or do you want me to just read it first and then pull the comment up after I'm done? What would you guys prefer? Would you prefer that you see it while I'm reading it, or would you prefer that I just read it first? Okay, Ronnie says whatever. Either way is fine. Just read it first. Pull it up. Okay, so some people are saying pull it up. It's probably going to be a 50-50 split. Who knows? Okay, so we're okay. Analog saying read it. Read it first. Ra's saying read it. It looks like reading it might win. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's what I'll do. I'll read it first. Now, before I read it, I want to make one thing clear. You will see a hero. I've blurred out the person's identity who wrote the comment. All right. You will see a response underneath where I did not blur it out because this person is a hero. And this person was actually leaving comments on this stream, not even knowing that they were going to be present in this. They were leaving supportive comments on the live chat hours before the stream even started. So when you see this person's name, this guy stepped into the breach in defense of common sense. That's why I wanted his name seen here in this screenshot. That is Fauntleroy. All right. So if Fauntleroy is in the chat at any point tonight, and I hope he is, he or she, don't know if it's a he or she. Thank you for being the voice of common sense on this one. Okay. And with that, I'm going to begin reading this comment. Now, this comment, let me give you some context real fast. I realize I'm getting ahead of myself. This comment was posted on the latest video about the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle video game. Now, that video I knew was going to take heat because most of the people who've reviewed it they're either like Access Media or they're fanboys who want to be Access Media, who just are in love with logos and all this kind of stuff. So then this comment hit, and there were a lot of stupid comments in that video. There's no doubt about it. But this particular one, like, it kind of like hit the bingo card of all the worst takes in one thing. It was like the Venn diagram of bad comments comes together in this one. And we've talked a lot in the past about, all of us together, about fanboy culture and how they simp for these logos and they're the positivity police and all this kind of stuff. So get ready to see it all distilled into the most wincingly honest take that will make you probably feel hopeless for a moment about humanity. All right, here we go. This is from He Who Shall Not Be Named, but I'll get into some of the background on that after I read this. All right, here we go. And I quote, "Okay, this was not a review, LOL. Interesting. This video was filled with nothing but overall complaining and ranting on how the game is terrible."
Hey, can I give a sentence by sentence translation on this? Because I think it's important that people understand. Here's what actually happened. This guy got 30 seconds into this video. Or no, I think it was within the first couple of minutes, you actually did go through the nice stuff. So we're probably at like minute 2 or 3.
Right.
And he finally started to get into the meat of the review. And suddenly you weren't confirming his bias. And that's when this comment happened.
Right. And to everybody here so far, unless he's lurking, because I did not kick him from the channel. I wanted him to stay there, like one of Vlad the Impaler's victims. Like, I want him in that comment section forever as an example, because of how ridiculous this comment is. But I want you all to be assured, I've been watching the live chat. nobody in the live chat is this person, because I've never seen this person on my videos ever. No Fly Highland, to the best of my knowledge, I did not delete it. So if it has been deleted, that wasn't me. But again, sometimes admins and mods go in and clean stuff up. But I've got it here on record, and you'll see it in a minute. So, all right. So I'll start over again. Okay, this was not a review, LOL. This video was filled with nothing but overall complaining and ranting on how the game is terrible. If you didn't like the game, why did you bother reviewing it? You could have just avoided it and just stick with the games that you like. This whole quotes review, he puts it in quotes, this whole review of Great Circle was just full of your blatant criticism, along with barely giving it a chance. In addition to also hugely criticizing and nitpicking every single little thing that wasn't to your standards. Now, before we dissect that, I want to give a shout out again to Fauntleroy. And Fauntleroy then says, today I learned it only counts as a review and is only allowed when you liked the product. Of course, having the outcome be a foregone conclusion defeats the entire purpose of reviewing products. But what do I know? Thank you, Fauntleroy. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to bring this comment up now on the screen so that we can dissect it. Here we go. Okay, so we've talked a lot over the years about thank you, Scott. Scott Knudsen, everybody. Here's $1 for every brain cell you lost reading that comment. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We also would have accepted pennies.
Yeah, I can say this, Arjun. I can say this. His profile picture was part of his profile picture was him, and it was part of his background. I'll say this much. His profile name and photo made it clear he's a massive Indiana Jones fanboy. And sadly, not 10 years old. Like, he might be younger than me by a little bit, but he's an adult. So that was really disappointing. Okay. We've talked a lot over the years on this channel about Positivity Police and how they've been pushing YouTube content in the direction of everybody just needs to be these hype tools. And they are tools, these hype tools for their latest and greatest, thing they're geeking out on. They basically want everybody to get the feels all the time and to just make commercials, because that's all they want to see is commercials. So early on in RetroBlasting's life, it was people saying, I'm so sick of your negative reviews. And at least they put review in there, acknowledging that reviews can be both positive or negative, and or praising or critical, however you want to define it. But then somewhere along the way, within the last, I'd say 4 to 4.5 years especially, they started separating the word review out. And they would say, you're so negative, you shouldn't be doing reviews. This is the first person that's just spelled out what the modern fanboy philosophy is, which is we've redefined what the word review is. We have taken the word commercial and replaced it with review. A review is now just a commercial in their eyes. It is a hype generating commercial. We want hype. We want everything to be fire. Like that's what we're looking for. And yeah, so yeah, Robert's Infinite Realm says it best. I'm sorry, we don't do commercials. We aren't totally brain dead. Yeah, exactly. So that's my first call out I want to make here, is that they have now effectively, in their own minds, changed the definition of the word review. Review doesn't mean good or bad anymore. It means if you don't think it's good, then you shouldn't review it, which is wild. Like, that's wild to me. That's wild to me. Radosara says, as a longtime Jurassic Park fan, I get bullcrap from Jurassic Park fanboys like this all the time whenever I comment about how the franchise has been handled. People like this, why pop culture is dying. Yeah, exactly. So we have to give a good review of the product if the product is bad. Yeah. So that blew me away first and foremost, but I get it. There's more to it than that. The video was filled with nothing but overall complaining and ranting on how the game is terrible. Chronically, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it true that a lot of video game review channels these days, not all of them, there's still some really good ones, but a lot of them, they've decided that it's easier to just record their gameplay and then record their commentary separately and then just dump them both over each other in an edit that doesn't have to be edited. And then they just kind of post it as a video where they're talking about a lot of stuff that you're not seeing on screen. Like, you're seeing the gameplay, but you're not seeing what they're addressing specifically in that moment. Like, they're just kind of giving you their impression. That's what I've seen, but I'm not an expert on YouTube video game reviewing in 2025. So
I'm not either, but I think you're right. And honestly, the sad part of it is that the format you've just described is what is considered high production value. Most of the time, it's guys that take their 5-hour stream of the game on Twitch,
right,
cut it up into 20 to 30 minutes, and then they let their commentary during that playthrough be the review, and then that's it.
Well, okay, so thank you for giving me some supporting evidence on that one, because the video game was filled with nothing but overall complaining and ranting. But the visuals were there. Like, nothing I said was ever unsupported without the visual evidence of what I encountered. And you can't engineer that with AI. Like, you can't just fake it. Like, that stuff happens. I miss Broken Vader. I can tell, because we're in a conversation about this and you're fixated on Broken Vader. I can tell you really miss him. I can't guarantee that he misses you, though, because he doesn't like anybody. So I'll let him know. We'll see how that goes.
Michael, keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. Okay. I get attacked by Godzilla American fans, even though I grew up in Japan. Wow. Oof. Thank you, Toy Games. I appreciate that. Oh gosh. Okay. So I do this whole review, and I make sure that I spend the better part of a week and a half cutting all the visuals together to show exactly what I ran into, because that's the whole reason I did the review to begin with, was because I thought, well, if this thing, people ask me to do this review of this game, I don't normally do games. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to record every hour of my playthrough. I recorded over 0.5 terabyte of game footage, and then sifted through all of it. And those were my findings, and they made the game insufferable to play. And I thought it was worth putting up there. But apparently that's just complaining and ranting, according to this guy. Now, then he says, if you didn't like the game, why did you bother reviewing it? Which is the big hopeless fanboy mic drop. Like, that's the moment where we all know, okay, fandom has turned a corner, and now they really are starting to try and change the definition of what a review is. I'm not going to say oh, don't worry, Scott. Just because you asked, I will just dump that entire recording onto Patreon for you. I'll just let you watch that whole process because it's hilarious.
Sorry about that, Michael.
No, you're fine. So let's see. Jesse says, especially since I'm subbed to Resident Evil Games channel, and she basically does a 4-part video, first impression. Oh, 4-part video, first impression, gameplay review, and look back. Okay. Now, Jesse, is that edited? Like, does she edit all of her visuals, or does she just dump her gameplay on there while she's talking? Yeah, it's weird that we're not allowed to be critical anymore. It's kind of wild. Sorry, I was reading this comment. Okay, so if you didn't like the game, why did you bother reviewing it? Well, as Neil says so astutely, because Michael likes Indian video games, duh. Yeah. People asked me to do it. A lot of people were asking me ahead of the game to do it. I made sure that I knew exactly what I needed to do with OBS to create a good video, because I like to edit and script and all that kind of stuff. And then I did it up to the nines, as Chronically will tell you, because he was privy to probably every step of the process. And then I got it done and I got it out there. And I thought, and I still do, that the observations are both valid and important. But this guy says, if you don't like something, why bother reviewing it? So this gets back to the conundrum that I've talked about many times, which is this guy's clearly all about, if you didn't like the game, why are you bother reviewing it? And I want to ask the guy, if you don't like my video, why are you bothering to review it? These guys will always trash something they don't like on YouTube if it's contrary to something they like. Like, they'll go negative faster than you can blink. And they'll go negative on a person, you know?
And they just keep moving that goalpost. It's now it's gone from you're not allowed to review it to disavowing the activity of critically thinking about anything.
Right. Yeah. If you don't like it, don't review it. And especially if you have any critical feelings about it, you definitely shouldn't be talking about it. And then what he tries to do is he tries to spin it as if he's giving me some sort of good advice. I've seen this before. You could have just avoided it and just stick with the games that you like. Remember that video I did right before this about the toy channel guy that was a predator, and the people saying, oh, avoid the article about it, avoid the bad news, avoid the information, avoid things you don't like and don't talk about them. The timing on this couldn't be more poetic. I mean, right? Like,
yep, spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
And fun fact on that, everybody, Chronically already knows this. Fun fact, the guy that I was referring to who made that statement on his video got all mad about my video and came out and said that I tried to accuse him of being an accomplice to a crime, which is hilarious because I wasn't, one, and two, the news was already out in the newspaper. So he wasn't implicated, nor was I trying to implicate him. But that's how sensitive these guys are. They don't want you to read the facts about a real crime, but they'll turn around and go at somebody making a video about, they made a video, but you make a video and they'll go at you. They'll find the courage to go at you, which I guess isn't really courage. It's more like cowardice, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, and how tough are these guys? I mean, this is just rampant corporate culture spreading. Like, corporations want everybody on their team or their employee to be excited about the next thing, right? And so they've you know, got everyone confused, and they think that people that need to consume their products just need to shut their brain off and be excited about it too. And then these are the guys who are like, why can't you just be like us? Why can't you be, devoid of thought or have any kind of, why can't you just enjoy this thing because gold arches and logo?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So by this guy's logic, I should never watch a Star Wars movie ever again, even though I love the original trilogy and even like the prequels. Yeah, if there's any chance that you're not going to like something, avoid it. And if there's any chance that you are disliking something, avoid talking about it. I don't think these guys realize, these types of people, and they're growing daily. I don't think they realize that they're never going to be on. If you have common sense, don't ever put these people on your zombie apocalypse squad. Like, ever. Because there was never a person in any crisis that was effective or helped the situation by being like, oh, just avoid things you don't like. Oh, don't talk about things. Be positive. And I just want to look at guys like this and be like, wow, you would have been worthless in the American Revolution. Like,
and these are the same guys that criticize people that say you live in an echo chamber. It's like, but by your own advice, people would have to live in an echo chamber, right?
Yes. Great point. I hadn't thought of that. Great point. Yeah. They are the first people to say this feels like an echo chamber, even though what it really is just they're not used to hearing that stuff. And then they turn around, just like you said, and they say, you should just talk about things you like and always be positive, which is like a literal echo chamber. Like that's, and the other funny part about the echo chamber, the phenomenon of them always calling out echo chambers, I've never understood that when it comes to individual YouTube channels, because the chamber at large isn't a specific channel. The chamber is YouTube. And YouTube, at least still in the toy space, I know that there's been some questionable stuff going on over the years in other spots every now and then. But in the toy space, YouTube is still completely egalitarian on whatever you want to say about toy products. Like, you can be positive, you can be negative, all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing, man. People are starting to get tired of the angry reviewer. That's not an excuse to start changing the definitions of words. Also, as we just established, you've just verified it's a phenomenon running rife through pop culture fandom right now. They're all running from facts and observable things. They're running from it in droves. And it's like, there is a difference between things you don't like going on in the world and a guy going, this Spider-Man figure sucks. Like, you don't have to group those things together. And I don't understand why people can't compartmentalize those things. It's like, okay, let's say you believe in, extreme global warming and that it's going to destroy us within like the next decade, and you think there's an existential crisis that you're not going to survive and you're panicked about it and all that kind of stuff. All right, fine. But then to turn around and yell at a toy reviewer because they're not bringing enough positivity into the world because they didn't like a Spider-Man figure, given what you're really stressed out about, I just think that's a weak argument. Chronically, keep me honest here on that. If I'm wrong, say I'm wrong, but
no, I agree. And I think, honestly, it's sad to say, I hate to make it seem like I'm trying to bring everyone down to, the same line of misery. But if you're starting to look around going, man, a lot of things suck. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, that's the complete thought right there.
Right.
It is on you to continue to find things that you like. Don't get mad at other people that are just conveying the facts to you about why this other thing might suck too. And
I love this comment. There absolutely appears to be a shill problem in the YouTube toy scene. I would guess there are a lot of channels getting kickbacks for good reviews. And that's a perfect response to this comment, because people are starting to get tired of the angry reviewer. Is it that, or is it there are way too many shills showing up in the YouTube toy scene and have been since right before COVID?
Yeah, like, no, I think people are getting tired of the boogeyman argument, where if you're always looking for a boogeyman, you're going to find one. But like your Indiana Jones, if you play the game to completion, which you did,
right,
and you point out all the problems, and these are observable facts, none of this is conjecture. None of this was, I just spun that up in my head because it sounded cool. Like, these are the facts about the game. If you're mad about that, then yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Stick to your crayons. I don't know what to tell you.
And that's the whole thing. This generation is becoming soft and scared of negative. That's what we're talking about. So I don't know why you're asking what happened to it. It's right here in front of us. And that's the other thing. I wasn't emulating the angry video game nerd at all. And I know that's not what Roland's saying. I wasn't doing that at all. Like, I was doing my thing, which is it was just taking what I do for toys and applying it to the video game. If that video game had been great, I would have said it. But my playthrough, nope. Let's see. Arjun says, I have a feeling that people like this have struggled with emotional invalidation from others, so now they feel personal shame when anyone criticizes something they like, so they deflect like that. Yeah. Kylie is life. All right. Let's see. Why does the phrase "to completion" sound so wrong now? Yeah, true. Let's see. Okay. So, AVG is acting. Michael is actually angry. That's true. That's true. Well, right. What you're doing is you're just, it's almost like you're explaining the joke. You're kind of like giving the beat for beat of what we're talking about tonight. So just enjoy the conversation. Okay. Brian says it's also endemic of a younger culture, but that makes me wonder how young this guy was, honestly. Jeremy says perhaps the game developers are trying to subvert our expectations. Unfortunately, they didn't have anyone there to tell them that was a horrible idea. Yeah.
I've also found that this problem is pretty rampant in people that are just coming back around to their hobby too.
Oh, really?
So like, this guy might be an adult, but maybe he's just like, decided, you know what, I miss the days of playing video games, and this is like his first outing with an Indiana Jones video game because he really liked Indiana Jones growing up, and he's mad that you couldn't just, well, I just popped in a video game for the first time in however many years, and I'm mad that he couldn't have the normie take on it because he knows stuff and I don't know anything.
Right. KBA, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'm sure Siskel and Ebert will be glad to know all those thumbs down they gave weren't real reviews. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Yeah. And very true. And very true. So then he says here, obviously he says you could have just avoided it and stuck with the games that you like. This video, they attempted to ratio it. They've gotten it down to around 89% like to dislike ratio. And they tried to ratio a number of people tried to ratio this live stream before it started. So if you haven't clicked the like on this particular one or the indie review for the Great Circle, go over and do that to both of these just to try and even the odds on this one. But sticking with the games that you like, right before I did this video, I did a video about all my childhood Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. And there were some in there that I didn't like, and there were quite a few in there that I liked, and there were a few in there that I was like, not the greatest, but not the worst. I had a 99% approval rating on that video. And yet I was negative on a number of the games in there. So like Chronically saying, they do move the goalpost when they get mad about something. So in this next bit, he says, this whole review of Great Circle was just full of your blatant criticism, along with barely giving it a chance. How can you be barely giving a game a chance when you played 3/4 of the way through it once, got soft locked, went back, started the whole game over again and played it all the way through again until you cleared it, isn't that giving the game the full chance?
Remember how I said this guy commented within the first 5 minutes of the video? I kind of cheated by using that sentence to inform the first.
Right.
Because it didn't take him very long to get so mad that he just spurted this out at you. Otherwise, if he had stuck around, he would have said, oh, yeah, this guy actually finished this game. Okay, I got to delete that from my talking point.
Yeah. It's really crazy to me, especially when it comes to a video game. Like I've had people in the past get mad about something I said about a toy in a range of toys, and then they say, well, you don't have the whole collection, so and that's a weak argument, don't get me wrong, because you can assess one material object, but they use that. With a video game, it's like, okay, well, I turned the game on, I installed it, I played it all the way through. I had one guy misconstrue willfully or ignorantly. He claimed that I guess I understand your problem. I guess I understand your criticisms of the graphics problems. And I was like, I actually said the graphics were really good. I don't know what graphics problems you're talking about. And a lot of that comes down to terminology. I kept wondering with that particular guy, like, does he mean glitches? Which I didn't really have glitches, not anything that was obvious. Like, I don't know if the disappearing rifle on the ground was a glitch. It could be part of the game design. I have no idea. Like, did he mean gameplay problems? Like, the gameplay was consistently bad. So it was like, I don't know. People, a lot of people aren't good with words, and then they drop them and they don't realize that they're muddying the water of their own argument or their own position. Thank you, LJ, and thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. Criticism, noun, the analysis and judgment of the merits and faults of a literary or artistic work. Thank you, Cedar Stuff. Thank you. All right. So this whole review of The Great Circle was just full of your blatant criticism along with barely giving it a chance. I would love to know what it means to fully give a video game a chance if you've already played through it basically twice and cleared it as well in one or both of the playthroughs. How many times do you have to waste your life playing a game that takes 27 hours to complete on each go around? Or in this case, it was over 30. I lost a day of my life on this. Like, it was like the Princess Bride machine I was hooked up to, where it's like, this game has just taken 1 year of your life away. It might one day go as high as 5, but at this point, let's just find out where we are. How do you feel? And then I told it, and everybody got mad. It's way over Travels. It's definitely, I found it to be somewhere in the range of 30 hours. Yeah. So yeah, I would love to know what modern gamer culture considers giving a game the full chance. Like, barely
Liking
giving
it.
liking it. Oh, okay.
These are just like bottom line. This is, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to spoil the ending. It's just like somebody like this is just unreasonable. You're never going to change this person's mind or be able to get them to understand, like, hey, these are legitimate things that can be called out and said, hey, this detracts from the enjoyment of the game.
Right. But
it gets back to the whole, well, I didn't think about it too hard, so of course I enjoyed it.
I'm still blown away by the fact that a self-respecting media consumer, and I get that the next statement out of anybody's breath is, Michael, these people don't have self-respect. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but we have to start somewhere. I'm still blown away by the fact that you can literally show them the villain bragging about his karate skills, and that's not enough to get them to pause and go, maybe there's some merit to what this guy's saying. Maybe this game isn't the hot shit that the media has been claiming it is, you know? Like, maybe it is a little cringe or a lot cringe. Maybe it is a little busted. Maybe there are some things going on here that should have been considered. But maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, because if they were the type of people that would reflect, they wouldn't jump to, I just want to feel positive all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a point, Toy Gains. The question is, how do you validate somebody who is looking for positivity all the time? I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm asking you the genuine question. It's a good thought experiment. How do you approach somebody who's always wanting positivity and validate them in a way where they will accept the criticisms and the obvious problems that are in front of them? Because if that requires being fatally diplomatic with every breath, then I can tell you I'm not going to coddle those people and do that, because they certainly don't do it for me in the comments. Because the average YouTube commenter has gotten it in their head that there's not a human being on the other side of that camera. That channel is just a faceless host with a face that they'll happily insult, by the way. But they will, what they effectively do and believe is that they have the right to have you kneel down on the ground with your hands tied behind your back while they punch you. And you're supposed to say in response, thank you so much for your insight and feedback. Which is insane, because then because they're super, like, they want decorum from you toward them after they've demonstrated no decorum in your direction regarding a video that you weren't targeting them on. They're coming into White Knight for a thing. And they're being like absolute boors in the process. Like, they are barbarians at the gate. No table manners, nothing. But they want you to act like a butler in a Clue movie in response. It's wild. And they think they're hot shit, but it's literally like the scene in, I think it was Wedding Crashers or whatever that movie was, where the jerk groom, has his friends hold the guy down. I think it's Owen Wilson, and just beat him in the back alley behind the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's this awesome guy. And it's like, well, that wasn't exactly a fair fight. But they don't like it when you swing back. They really don't. It really gets to them. So I'd love to know what kind of validation we're talking about, because, and maybe you don't have the answer. Maybe you're just, entering into a thought experiment. Because if validation requires constantly treating them with kid gloves, much in the same way Indy grabbed the air creepily, with his crouching maneuver, it's going to be okay, Angie commenter. It's going to be okay. Get into stealth mode with me. If that's what it takes, constantly saying, just my opinion, you can have yours and that's totally fine. Like, why do we have to say that all the time? There was a time 5,000 years ago, Gandalf. I was there. I saw it all. There was a time when everybody knew, when talking with people, what part of a statement was the observable part, meaning these are this person's observations that we could all make. This is the part that's an opinion. We didn't have to actually tell everybody, I'm getting to the part that's my opinion now. It's like saying, spoiler alert, I'm getting to the part that's my opinion now. Opinion alert. Like, when did we become so stupid that we couldn't figure that out just by talking to people? Like, I don't know if you've seen this chronically. I've been seeing more and more people do the thing of accusing YouTubers of hiding their opinions as facts. Mm-hmm. And every time I watch most YouTubers, they're just speaking English.
Right.
I know I sound like a lunatic right now, but I really...
Well, that's what happens when people aren't afraid to to say their opinions, when they don't give that annoying pre-qualifier of it's okay if you think differently than me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you don't do that, then for some reason the internet decides, well, he's opened himself up to saying or presenting his opinions as the only opinion. It's like, no, this is just what I think.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know. It really does blow me away. And I'll get to this last sentence here. I promise I haven't forgotten it, but it really does blow me away that we're in a place where you can even show that you went through the whole experience of whatever this thing was, whether it was a theme park. You could literally do a review of Disney World and say, show the footage of you on every ride and in every store and going to every show. And you could say, yeah, these are the reasons I didn't enjoy myself. And they'd go, well, you barely gave it a chance. What? I collected every book. I ate every biscotti. I beat up every Italian guy I could find. That's not a knock at Italian guys. They give you a lot of mean, evil Italian guys that are trying to kill you in this game. There's a lot there that I made sure to experience. Taking pictures of all the kitty cats. That the whole taking pictures thing never got fun. You mean because the grown people are so immature, or is it something I did wrong? I'm waiting to be told that I did something wrong. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just and that's a great point. That's a great point here, Ronald. He says, "Where do these guys come from? Wish I knew." But I'll tell you this much. Based on this guy's profile picture and his name, he's a hardcore Indiana Jones fanboy. And as somebody who put my credentials up front at the start of that video, I don't know how many times I have to say it. It's like, look, you don't have to agree with my opinion, but don't sit there like a lot of these guys did in the comments and be like, you don't know anything about Indiana Jones. One guy said I lied about the game. He said, you're just lying about this game. I'm like, I really did take pictures of kitty cats. I really did eat like 100 biscotti. I really did beat up all those guys in that alley and somehow survived. I really did drop that rifle and it disappeared. I really did fall down that pit 20 times because the whip swing mechanics don't work very well. Like I showed all of it. So where's the lie? And again, that's another one I wasn't going to get into tonight, but if they're already changing the definition of review, imagine if they're starting to change the definition of the word lie. Because that particular guy also had a problem. He didn't understand the difference between these two terms, objectivity and subjectivity. When he said that I lied, he then followed that up with, that's an objective statement. I'm like, no, a lie is only objective when you've actually proven it in a court of law with, cross-examined evidence. Like that's when the lie is objectively proven. If you're just emotionally mad at this person, so you want to accuse them of a lie when they're showing the evidence, you've just made an emotional subjective statement. But he didn't know the difference between the two. He thought he had, as Obi-Wan Kenobi might say, the moral high ground. He thought he had the moral high ground, but he didn't, because he didn't even know what the words meant that he was using. It's been real interesting to see the reaction to this video. It's been very, very interesting. In college, I had the phrase, in my opinion, beaten out of me because saying that is insulting, assuming the person doesn't realize the obvious. Thank you, that the opinion you are stating is your own. Yeah. Thank you, Nyquist. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I can't stand the disclaimers and trigger warnings everyone seems to be using these days. I'm thankful that you're one of the few content creators who doesn't do that. I can't stand doing it. I can't. I won't. Like, it's not the way I was raised either. I mean, you have to advance. You have to eat every biscotti. Otherwise, you don't have enough of that. green, what I call deflector shield energy to survive the fist fights. Let's see. I have let's see here. Oh, here we go. Last call. Thank you, Troy, for the super chat. He says, every Italian guy I saw. Hey, what's the matter for you? Yeah, no. Again, that was not a shot at Italian guys. That was a shot at Bethesda, Machine Games, and Disney using a lot of Italian guys as fascist thugs in this game. I'm not saying that's not historically accurate to a degree. I mean, Mussolini's in this game at one point, but yeah, it gets a little monotonous, and you start to wonder, your eyebrows kind of raise. Michael is banned from Epcot for beating up people at the Italy pavilion and eating all their biscotti. You got to keep that stamina bar going.
Epcot's the worst one though, so nothing lost there.
Especially after they changed the Viking ride to Frozen.
Right.
Like the Viking ride was the only fun thing at Epcot to do. Yeah. Yeah, it is. You are forced to sneak around. Why do you think they put you in disguises all the time? I would love to see you, Big League Designs, defend that statement. If you aren't forced to sneak around without getting killed, ganged up on, chased literally out of the area, barely surviving, why are there disguises, multiple disguises in every area of the game? I await your response. All right. I am not going to that tour. It's not a boycott. It's just simply because I'm not a live music person. I like VIP backstage passes, and those weren't offered, so there's no point for me to go. Let's see. I don't know, Netter. I don't know if I'm going to MegaCon in Florida. When is it? I'll have to look it up. Let's see.
Oh, here we go.
I am dead. What's the? Oh, did he respond?
Yeah. I mean, he's had a take earlier that I was like, yeah, he's the guy.
Oh, really? Yeah. Don't worry, Fauntleroy. I made everybody aware at the start of this conversation that you were the hero that stepped into the breach on this one. That's why I left your name highlighted, because I knew that you might be in the chat. I wanted everybody to applaud you as a hero. So everybody, Fauntleroy's in the chat. He was the man of the hour on this one. So or lady, I don't know what your gender is, but you were the hero of the hour. So everybody give him a virtual round of applause, or her. Let's see. The game can give you a shotgun. It's not forcing you to use it. It does though tell you that you can't reload it. You can't get shotgun shells from the other shotguns. You have to drop it every time you climb a ladder. If you do fire it off, every German or Italian within 5-mile radius will be alerted, because all of the exclamation points pop up and they all converge on you. Your argument is thin, Riggs, and it's getting thinner. It's getting Ariana Grande thin.
Which lately is very.
Yeah. So hey, Gwildor, February 6th through the 9th. Oh, I won't be at that because we'll be having friends in from out of town for a special event. So, but I hope if you're going, I hope you have fun and take pictures for me. All right. Congratulations on being awarded the Order of the RetroBlasting. Oh no, you can shoot, but it comes at a great cost. You cannot reload the weapons that you find. You drop them. The programmers make sure you drop them at every possible opportunity. The weapons that you do permanently carry, which is only one, it's a sidearm, you can barely find ammunition for it. If you do use the weapons and you're early on in the game, which is the first 15 to 20 hours of the game, you will have all the enemies in the area converge on you. They'll gang up on you, which is already bad enough in fist fights anyway. And so you get to a point where you realize the game is designed for you to not use them. It puts them in front of you just so that, they can't, there was no realistic way they could put you in 1930s pre-World War II North Africa and Europe and not have people carrying firearms. There was no way they could get around that. But I bet you if they could have found an excuse to do it, they would have. So they did the next best thing in their minds, which is they made the firearms so inconvenient for the game they designed that you as the player end up not using them. I only use in both playthroughs, I only used my revolver in the same place twice. One time it was actually because I was in the German uniform. It ended up being the sidearm was your Luger. But either way, revolver, Luger, it's the same function of whatever outfit you're using. And that was in an Egyptian ruin where there was this kind of like big tall guy who was protecting the ruin, and you have to fight him in the dark. And I just decided in the first playthrough it would be easier to just blow him away. And I did that again in the second one. That's the only time I used Indiana Jones revolver the entire game. The entire game. So no matter what this guy says, yeah, technically you can do X, Y, and Z and push these buttons. It doesn't mean that as a gamer with any common sense, having played games, that the game itself is designed to really accommodate you doing it. And he knows that.
It's the fun illusion of choice. That's what we're arguing right now.
Yeah. Yes. It's the illusion of choice. Thank you. As Christopher Walken dances by. Yeah. Fauntleroy has been crushing a lot of morons in the comments lately. It's been a beautiful sight. Yeah, it really has. It really has. Are you in the mindset to watch other toy pop culture content on YouTube? What channels do you lean on? I watch Analog Toys, and I watch this guy right here, Chronically Online. I watch his stuff every time he does a new upload. I watch Articulated Ninja. I watched his latest thing on the Spider-Man. What do they call that? The Maximum line, the Spider-Man Maximum. He did an amazing breakdown of why that's an idiotic Hasbro move.
Isn't that fun that they're trying to be an import company with that box and all?
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of the praise for this indie game are from folks still trying to justify Microsoft buying all these studios. Yeah, that's a great point, Tim. That's a really, really great point. Let's see. The whole opinion and fact thing reminds me of how my daughter was when she was young, got into an argument with a bus driver of a fact, and the bus driver said, no, that's an opinion, and it was a scientifically proven fact. Yeah. It's going around lately like herpes. No, I wasn't crushing you at all. No, you were the Paul Revere. You were like, the British are coming. Like it was, that game does not belong in a museum. This guy's comment does. So I take it, Crossbones, you didn't actually watch my game review, because in the game and in my Indiana Jones 5 review and in the video where I talk about Indiana Jones' deteriorating costume, I've made mention of what revolvers he carries. And I also made mention of it in building the Ultimate Indiana Jones figure. And I made mention of it in Indiana Jones and the Last Hurrah. So I've given you, 7 opportunities to get this information, and you're asking me in the what? Are you one of those guys? Be honest with me, Koopa. Are you one of those guys that only watches live streams? Are you a live stream addict? Do you need that live streaming with the live chat? Like, is that your thing? Like, is that what you do? Is that your move? I just want to know. Because I love it when I've put the information out there over and over and over and over and over again. and then people are like, "Hey, what's the info here?" It's like, oh my god. I have a feeling you're a live stream junkie. Let me know if I'm right. Don't be shocked by the tone of my voice. Yeah, exactly. When an offensive approach is made difficult, reloading and punishing enemy overload, then you are effectively being forced into stealth.
Boom.
See, Mike Jack, thanks for the super chat. You ain't bad, you ain't nothing. GG, Michael Jackson. What's up with all the Michael Jackson stuff lately, Chronically? First of all, thank you for the super chat, Chronically. What is up? What do we got going on here?
What if it's the same guy?
I wonder. Yeah, but would he send me a super chat though?
I don't know. Crazier things have happened.
People are weird. Yeah. Michael's live streams are 99.6% pure and have a unique blue color to them. What? Wolfie, I love you to death. I know that's a compliment. I'm trying to figure out what that means, because what that sounds like is that I had to take that medicine to try and stop you having the urge to urinate, which turns your urine blue. I only know that because my wife is a nurse and she's told me about a lot of different pharmaceuticals. So
see, that's how I know you're a well-adjusted individual, though, because that was not the blue medicine that came to mind for me.
Well, I just want to know what the blue color means. A unique blue color to them. I mean, I know it means something positive or funny. I just don't know what it is. Let's see. You could tell the developers have never fired a revolver or mini since they didn't even use the ejector for the reload process. Yeah, exactly. They had him pulling the... I wish I had enough. I was so angry writing the script that I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they have him pulling the bullets out with his fingernails, which is pretty funny. Although that might be even more justification for why they should have actually gotten it right in the first place, because it's possible... Bear with me here. I'd have to go get it and look at it, but because I use full moon clips, I do not use single rounds. Why would you do that? It's possible that the way the cylinder is designed, if I'm remembering correctly, there is one of the Smith & Wesson revolvers from back then where you could put single rounds in, but the ejector would then miss them because they're not in the full moon clip. In other words, you would have to take the cylinder out and then dump it or pull them out individually, which is very tedious and time consuming, especially when people are coming at you with bats and stale biscotti and guns. Like, that's not... Yeah, so full moon clips all the way around, and you've just supported that argument even further. Yeah. It's not even an argument. It's the fact of the matter. Yeah. Are you telling me I can have Smurf piss and the medical establishment is hiding it from me? Well, it's the drug they give you to stop an overactive urge to urinate. How we got on this topic, I don't know, but that's why I love these live streams, because you never know where a RetroBlasting stream is going to go.
Number one or number two? No, just kidding.
I had not gotten a chance to see those. Crossbones Koopa has been out of it for the last 5 years. Did you just... Crossbones, honestly, did you just come out of like cryogenic stasis? Like, is this like Blast from the Past? Were you like in a bunker somewhere? Like, are you shocked to find out that there was a 3D version of Super Mario? Like,
are you living under a shell?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious. Hi, Mr. French. Hi. In your opinion, what was the most annoying toy feature to collect items from? That's a very broad question. Like, that's really broad. You're talking centuries worth of toys. Like, I could sit there and say, well, when you were living in the 19th century, it was really annoying to have your child suddenly develop, mental illness from chewing on those lead, soldiers all the time. If I was talking about it now, it would depend on the line. Like that's, I don't know. Crippling action features that don't allow you to pose your figures. I guess if I had to pick something out of fragile accessories, fragile toys, things that aren't that well built, He-Man leg bands. I don't know. Like you've asked a very, very deep question that's like Marianas Trench deep. So there's no real simple answer. Thank you, Jimmy. That's what I thought. Yep, that's what I thought. You can single load it, but it won't eject if no moon clip, which makes them not using the moon clips even sillier. Yep. Let's see. What's my favorite part of the game? Well, like I said in the review, I said that at the end of the review. So if you want to know what I said, watch the review. You make these videos chronically, and then people don't watch them. And they ask you.
Quite an experience. Makes you wonder why you do it sometimes. Right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Short of driving these video, I honestly, I said to someone yesterday, short of driving myself to this audience member's house with a projector and reading the script out loud, I don't know what more I could do for giving these people all the information if they're just going to ask the question that I pose in the video anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. From my 80s features, well, it depends on the toy line, and I outline those in all the different 80s features that I've done. So the worst one for each one is called out in each one of my retrospectives. This is the comment in question. I wonder if this is the same guy who complained about how Yahtzee reviews games over a decade ago. I know what you're saying about Yahtzee as a stand-in for another word, but what Yahtzee was reviewing games over a decade ago? I don't know what that means. And I'd really enjoy seeing a 1940s era Yahtzee reviewing like a Game Boy. Can you imagine that? Especially if he ended up playing Tetris. Because he'd be like, this is communist. This is communist propaganda. We will stop you in Stalingrad.
Dr. Jones, this game boring.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. I see. Yeah, see exact. Thank you, Punch. Thank you for that, Punch. I needed that. Oh wait, no. Yahtzee Croshaw of Zero Punctuation. I did not see his review. I did not see. That's funny. Oops. I did not see his review. I don't know if he's the same guy that complained about Yahtzee Croshaw. I'm not sure. Let's see. All right. Well, we've only got, let's see, we got about 10, 15 minutes left in this stream. We started at we're 1:10. We got 20 minutes left. I have a few parcels to open real quick. And then at 8 o'clock, we're going to be moving over to Patreon to do the after show. And just to, if Mayumi is still in the chat, Mayumi, I wanted you to see the thumbnail for the Patreon after show. Hey, Patreon, Michael wants to hang out, and so does Uzaki-chan, of course. I try and always do on the Patreon. If it's Patreon hangout, it's usually like an image of somebody from some movie hanging from a rope or a cliff, or Jackie Chan hanging from a bus, or something like that. Or so I play with the thumbnails on those a lot. Okay, so let's do these. I have not seen Sonic the Hedgehog 3. No. Thank goodness, Arjun. Thank goodness. Maybe the information's finally out there. No. Like I said, I reviewed every Indiana Jones game in existence. If you watch the beginning of my video about Great Circle, you'll know that I've reviewed every Indiana Jones game that's ever been made up through Emperor's Tomb. And I did it for the Raider.net. You know, chronically, I put so much information in my videos and nobody watches them. It's just wild.
I know. Trust me. I share your pain, sir.
Yeah. My favorite Batman, probably one of those guys that killed me with a bat in the Vatican in the Great Circle that was screaming Italian at me. So, okay. Let's do some, I'll get this out of the way here. And we'll do some parcels real quick. All right. Chronically, what's I don't want to make you give up anything that you're not willing to reveal yet. But if you're working on a new video and you're willing to let everybody know what it is, what are you working on? And if you don't want to say what it is, are you working on anything? And how big of a video is it?
Well, I guess the convenient thing about the last 4 videos is that these scripts were written in probably the end of the summer, early fall of 24.
Right.
So the last few that I've made, all I had to do was just pick a script, record it, and then boom. So now I'm in the process of kind of trying to cobble together. I sort of liked the way that worked out for me because, yeah, it sort of delays my output of videos, but just having 3 or 4 scripts ready to go and then just being able to pick one and record is kind of the way I like to do it. I found that was a lot easier to feel like I had less work to do to get myself going. Cause you know how it goes when you got to sit down and write a script. That's sometimes the most daunting part. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. The script I just did for Back to the Future Playmobil, which I've been working on the last few days. That was only 12 pages, but it was a lot of detail. It was just like, first of all, Derek sent me, he was very kind. Derek sent me a Blu-ray disc burn of the new 4K 80 Empire Strikes Back preservation.
Nice.
So this is off the original reels. Thank you so much, Derek, for sending me this. I will, I'll watch it finally, and I know I'll enjoy it because I loved 4K 77 and 4K 83. Thank you for helping get. I have the file of it, like I have like the big file, but it's hard for me to get that file over to my TV and watch it, if that makes any sense. All right, what else we got here? We have. Oh, this is somebody sent something Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. He came through. Super Friends Blu-ray set.
Oh, nice.
Thank you so much. You did not have to do this, but thanks a million. I really, really appreciate this. But to answer your question, Tyler, I've played Staff of Kings and the other version of Staff of Kings. And the other version of Staff of Kings. There are 3 Staff of Kings. Only one of them is even mildly tolerable. The PS2 version sucks. It's bad. It makes Emperor's Tomb on the original Xbox, which is a great game, not look dated. Like Emperor's Tomb looks worlds ahead than the PS2 Staff of Kings. Okay. Well, I'm wearing my British Army, which is in the same family. I had to have an image of me like reading something, so I grabbed an old image of me reading something from 6 years ago. The only thing that's changed is I don't have bangs anymore. Other than that, I'm fine because my hairline. Okay. You have lots of cool vids. I just tend to jump around like it's pick your adventure. Fair. But that means you're creating a minefield for yourself. This is amazing. Thank you so much for sending this. With those discs having rotted on the DVD front. Although that is still one of my favorite videos I've ever done, is sorting out all the DVD releases of Super Friends. It was annoying, and Warner Brothers should have never done it. But I'm really happy with the way the DVD or the video came out. But now that this video can be really short, it's like how to sort out the Super Friends on DVD. Buy this. Goodbye. Like, don't bother. Buy this.
Do we have any preliminary thoughts from a trusted source about how that mastering turned out on that particular release? Do we know yet?
We don't.
Okay.
Especially scary because you're right. It comes from, isn't this a Warner Brothers studio and not Warner Brothers archive?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's anything like the Fleischer cartoons, it's toast. But
oh no,
we'll see. We will see. All right. I have two more. Uh-oh. This is a heavy one from Scott Knudsen. The last time he sent me a heavy parcel, it was like a 35-pound box that contained G.I. Joe omnibuses in it, which, by the way, is an awesome gift. Not complaining, just saying. Okay. While RetroBlasting isn't serialized, it does do callbacks and references. Best to watch the whole series. Yeah, good point. I'm going to have to look up some mini replacements for my DVD collection. Yeah. Okay. So this is the Scott Knudsen. It's kind of heavy. I'm a little scared. Oh my gosh. What did you do, Scott? What did you do? There's a note. Dear Michael, I saw this in my comic shop and immediately thought, who do I know that might possibly have use for a collection of vintage Robin Hood comic strips? Your name was at the top of a very short list. Hoping you and yours have a Merry Christmas and a very happy 2025. All the best, Scott Knudsen. Dude, this is... By the way, Scott is an all-round, not just because he just gave me something. Scott has always been an all-round amazing human. And it's good that there are people like him in the world. See, this is a man after my own heart. Look at this.
That's awesome.
Fleetway Comics archives of the Robin Hood newspaper strip. And they even drew him like Errol Flynn.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. See that guy right there?
That's so cool.
Yeah. Steal from the poor and he will kill you. Yeah. Yeah.
If you know, you know.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Thank you, Scott. This is awesome. I can't wait to start burning through it. Okay. All right. You missed the live stream, but that's the beautiful thing about a replay. It's okay. We got one more box to open, and the stream started at 6. I made sure everybody knew ahead of time. I posted it everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon. Anyway. All right. Oh, you do. You do, Jesse. You do. That's totally fair. You do. Okay. I'll go back and watch it later on if I have time. Your loss. All right. So let's see. Isn't it amazing how people have time to sit on live streams and live chats for hours, but they don't have time to watch a 40-minute video? Oh, there really is an audience schism between live streaming junkies and just people that consume finished content. It's wild to me. It's really wild.
People don't realize what they say really informs their priorities. That's
right. Yeah. Okay, last one. This is a true mystery box. It's from the Netherlands, and specifically, it's from Eindhoven, which is really exciting because that's a major location in World War II that was featured in the Band of Brothers miniseries. All right, now what is in this box? It says fragile, but the box is in good shape, which
What'd
means
you call me?
All right, here we go. Oh, what? The Next 17 has sent me a surprise parcel. Inside is he says it's Luke in mini Bacta tank, General Veers, Commander Jared, an ISB officer, 2 Cantina aliens, and a scanning crew member with a crate. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Oh yeah, look. We got ourselves an officer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He looks quite good. If I do say so myself, he looks quite good. And then we got what we got here. What's this? Oh, it really is. He literally comes in a tube. It's Luke in the Bacta tube with his diaper on.
Huh.
Yeah.
I saw a guy on Instagram somehow got lucky enough to be privy to some of the paint masters, and his particular Luke just had a red leg and the rest of them was
Oh really?
was regular. Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Was it from Next 17?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a collector that also collects Next 17, and he had like a paint master or a prototype or something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, look. I think Next 17 might be really taking the next step with, I mean, these officers look quite nice.
It's just the lighting. I don't mean to be dim, but
yeah,
is he gray or black?
He is a dark gray.
Okay.
The other guy here is a New Hope green.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I mean, it's a very dark gray. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely not black. And then, like, here is the tech crew guy from New Hope that was in the docking bay.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. And then what do we got here? We got aliens. That's my deep cut line of Owen Wilson from Shanghai Noon, trapped in the jail cell, looking for a way to escape, and you hear him in the background saying, "Oh, we got pillows." So here's one of the Cantina alien guys. I guess.
Oh
in
yeah.
the background.
Didn't they mistakenly label that alien as Jabba the Hutt in the Marvel comics for a hot minute?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, he actually sent me, according to this letter, and it's right here in the bottom.
Oh, nice.
He mocked it up.
Yep.
So cool. He did the. It's just a demo card back, but it's a nice little piece of. Because I grew up reading that comic adaptation going, what is going on here? So that's cool.
And then they like retconned it, right? Where he's like his accountant and he was just using Jabba the Hutt as like a alias to say, well, I speak on behalf of Jabba or something like that.
Yeah. It's like they always try and retcon those gaffes where it's just like, why don't you just enjoy your weird history?
Right.
Like, like that's the weird history is more fun than trying to legitimize it,
Yeah. If you're reading those Star Wars Marvel comics, you got to be puffing on something, and that don't take away my fun.
Exactly. I want Jackson to just be a weird Bucky O'Hare space rabbit. Like that's all. I don't need him to be explained at any point. And here's the final one. This one, this one's definitely New Hope. Officer around the big table.
Oh yeah.
Yep. One of the high-ranking, highfalutin guys. Great. That's amazing. I did not. Thanks for the surprise, Next 17. That's crazy. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say, but I will endeavor to look upon these and see if I can. Well, I know I'll be able to integrate them into my display. I don't know how tempted I'll be, because my Cantina world is really like blown out at this point. But I might be tempted. I might be tempted to just mock up the Marvel Jabba in front of the Falcon, just hanging out. Just get everybody there in front of the Falcon with him. Anybody that comes down into the display room is going to be like, what's going on here? And I'm going to be like, the real Jabba scene, you know, the real one. And every now and then, maybe what I'll do is I'll switch him out with a Robin Hood Prince of Thieves Friar Tuck with no robe on. And I'll be like, no, that's the real actor that played Jabba. He's a big, fat Scottish guy.
Well, Michael, for my next trick, you have to take a HasLab Cantina to Japan.
Oh, okay. Like I'll get there and it's like missing 2 cups.
Right.
You know, oh no. All right. Let's see. Will Stan Solo branch out or stick to Star Wars? I'd love 5 POA, Doctor Who, Zorro, and Lone Ranger. I don't know. I need to figure out if there's even a way. I never was able to get my hands on those Tonica sisters and some of the other stuff. I'm hoping that I haven't missed out entirely. Every time I go over there, they're sold out. So I'm going to try again, see what happens. So, yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight on this little stream. I wanted to just call out that they're finally not hiding it. They're not telegraphing it anymore. They're not vague booking it. Fandom now does believe that reviews are commercials. The word review is now commercial. It doesn't mean critical analysis. Nuance is dead. Negativity is banned. All of us who dare to say that an action figure is overpriced or breaks easily, we will be canceled. Which is meaningless because you can't cancel. I think that's what frustrates them the most. You can't cancel somebody on YouTube because they can just keep making content. And that must annoy them even more.
Yep.
You know? Yeah. So, all right. Well, everybody who's going to meet us over on Patreon at 8:00 in 30 minutes, we'll see you there. Let's see. Atari Boy says, how do you felt about Hasbro being FUBA with many of the... Well, they've been doing that for years. Look, I've been screaming for the last 5 to 6 years in a lot of my unplugs that Hasbro is trying to not be a toy company anymore. I've been saying this for over a half decade. And now all of a sudden, everybody acts like it's big news. First, they wanted to be a movie studio. I said that was stupid. Then that guy died, and they got a new guy named Chris Cox, Cocks. And I called that out when it happened, and I said he was an idiot because he looked like somebody that would be a friend of my dad's. And he's now running the company, and he's like, we're not going to be a movie studio anymore. And I'm like, yeah, but you're still a corporate douchebag. And sure enough, he's like, no, now we're a gaming company, even though we just fired all the people from the most successful parts of our gaming division. I've been saying this forever. This is not news to me. This is news to everybody else who bothered to listen to all the other people over the years who were like, yeah, that Michael guy, that RetroBlasting guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So no, I'm not surprised because I've been saying it. Yeah. And with that, Ra, have a great night, sir. Have a great night. With that, Chronically, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. And,
thanks for having me.
I'll see you in the green room after we shut down.
Yes, sir.
And to everybody else, we'll see you on Patreon in 30. So see y'all later.
Bye.